What's up, guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 1969 Ford F950. Up front is an 8.75 liter V8, and down below is a 5-speed manual transmission. Now, I am super excited to be driving this F950 because, well, I haven't really driven much like it. It is probably the largest V8 I've ever driven. It's one of the largest vehicles, and so today we're going to be diving into the history of the Ford Super Duties. But if you'd like to submit your own vehicle, doesn't have to be this big, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. But let's get back to that 534 cubic inch V8 under the hood. Well, according to my research, this is the largest Ford gasoline V8 ever made. It is large and in charge. And this is interesting because it's the era before diesel engines really took off. In the 1960s, gasoline was still the preferred engine power for big trucks like this. And so this is a gasoline chugging 534 cubic inch V8. Now, like I said, paired to it is a 5-speed manual transmission. First gear is absolutely useless. It's the granny gear. And I do have this little red button on the side of the shifter, and that is a high and low range. So you can do first low, first high, second low, second high, third low, third high, 4 low, 4 high, 5 low, 5 high, which has been pretty tricky to get used to, but not terrible. You do float gears once you are going. You don't really use the clutch all that much, and boy, is it a lot to get going. Now, last but not least about the drivetrain, this of course is rear-wheel drive. So how does it feel to drive an F950 from 1969? Well, it's actually not terrible because I actually have power steering, which is wonderful. It is very laborsome and low-B and slow, but it's a big heavy-duty truck. I don't expect it to be fast. Once you're up to speed, it's actually not all that bad. However, I do have about 5 cars behind me, so my apologies to them. You also sit head and shoulders above everyone else. So I've raved in the past that the F250 Super Duty Platinum was the sort of God complex automobile. This makes the F250 Super Duty look like a smart car, and I love that. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have a speedometer, my alternator, oil, EMP, and fuel. And off to the right is a tachometer. Down below, I have controls for my lights, wipers, and lighter. And off to the right, I have my throttle, choke, and fan off. The steering wheel is gigantic and has nothing on it except for the Ford logo, which is quite comical. Off to the left, I do have an air vent and the ignition. Ford was known for doing the ignition off to the left in the 1960s. And moving out of the door, I have my little smoker's window, crank for the window, and latch to get in and out. That's it. Moving into the center, I don't get anything except for a little ashtray and a glove box. That is absolutely it. Moving down below, I do have my heat and temperature control. And moving onto the floor, we have the shifter, obviously, which is large and in charge and very long. But off to the right, we have a handbrake, which looks exactly like my 1931 Ford Model A's handbrake. I don't think Ford switched up their design in over 30 years. But who can blame them? However, through all of this, there are no cup holders in the F950. And so it fails the big friggin' bottle test. Although it can haul a lot more than just a bottle, to be fair, so. Now the seat is a bench seat and I only get lap belt, which is equivalent to your buddy holding on to you while flying a space shuttle. So secure is not a word I would use with the F950. And although we don't have any back seats, we do have a rear dump truck bed. This actually used to be a fire truck, but was converted to a dump truck some years ago. And so here's the bed. This is what it's looking like. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and it looks awesome. It's just so cool seeing a piece of machinery from the late 60s and driving one here today. It's so iconic to me. And I always feel like I see these rotting away in like a farmer's field or something, but no, today it's out and about, driving and doing its purpose. So that has been absolutely lovely to see. But with all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving probably the largest vehicle ever here on the Shooting Cars channel? Well, first of all, I love it. This has been a wonderful experience, but quite a nerve-wracking one if I do say so myself. I am not used to driving large vehicles like this. Oh my God, big turn, big turn. Come on, come on. Don't make me engage reverse. I'm gonna cry. Okay, all right, all right. We turned around. All right, what do I want? That's first, that's second. I want second. Here we go, we're back on the road again. Second's already spent, give me third. Fourth, there it is. Give me fifth, there it is. And just for good measure, fifth high. There we go. Cruising in fifth high. The coolest part to me about this truck though is getting a really good glimpse of Ford in the 1960s. I've driven Ford cars, and every time you think of Ford in the 60s, you think of the Ford GT40 or the Ford Mustang. They debuted that year. Maybe you think of the Ford Fairlane, like this Fairlane 500 that I drove. And it's really cool. You know, Ford was very iconic in that era. But I think to fully understand the Ford Motor Company in the 1960s, you have to look at everything that they made, and this is another end of the spectrum that they were building. They were offering commercial vehicles in the 60s that were fully gasoline powered by ginormous V8s. And like I said, this truck lived a previous life as a fire truck. In the 1960s, there was, without a doubt, a house on fire that this truck showed up to, a medical emergency that this truck showed up to. And so yeah, it's very unpleasant for me to drive, and it's very nerve-wracking, but that doesn't matter. That's not the important part. What was important was that this truck got to the job site and did what it needed to do. It doesn't care about your feelings. It doesn't care about parallel parking in downtown Atlanta. No, it needs to get a lot of equipment to a very important place in a timely manner. And so Ford entrusted the 534 V8 to do that. And I have to say that if I were in danger in the 1960s, the amount of relief I would feel when this truck shows up would be immeasurable. And that's all thank you to the late 60s Ford engineers. This truck is a handful. It's actually 2.5 handfuls, but it's so important and such an iconic piece of Ford's history. What a lovely, lovely machine. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Duncan for letting me take out his F950. What an odd experience, but such a cool one. Duncan has been absolutely awesome to work with. Such a down-to-earth, knowledgeable guy. It's been just a wonderful day. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, subscribe if you really liked it, and let me know if you'd like to see more vintage heavy-duty machinery like this one. Take care, guys.